from Whalar. Neil, take it away.
No microphone.
To give a little bit of interesting background, our focus is on creativity, and so a particular endorsement for us is the fact that our chairman is Sir John Hegarty, who's one of the most awarded creatives in the world, who co-founded the agency BBH. And then for a little interesting fact, maybe a story for later, we actually came up with the idea for Whalar, excuse me, on Necker Island, which is the private home of Richard Branson in the Virgin Islands. So we launched Whalar in March of last year. We're very strong within the travel category, but equally we're working across all different types of verticals. I think this is a nice element of our traction. So we've worked with over 250 clients since launching last year. We're working across 40 different markets. We've arranged thousands of collaborations and been the source of tens of thousands of creative assets. So that's hopefully giving an inkling into what we do. Our mission statement at Whalar is to liberate the creative voice. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's start with why the creative voice needed liberating. So hopefully these are 4 trends that you can associate with. Bradley Jackman from PepsiCo said that brands now need more content than ever before. What was once 4 assets needed for their marketing strategy, today is 4,000 because of all the channels that they have to communicate across. And not just 4,000, but it's needed more quickly than ever before as well. Equally, we've seen a rise in peer-to-peer recommendations. So this is from the Internet Advertising Bureau. And it's happening at scale. Peer-to-peer recommendations have always been one of the most strong formats of endorsement. But now, because of social media, more than 75% of consumers are said to rely on social media to inform purchase decisions. Adding to that and playing off it, this is from Salesforce. Salesforce did a study. Actually, there's a ton of interesting data in their study. But to highlight one thing, social campaigns that use user-generated content, so linking in with the peer-to-peer, are seeing a 50% lift in engagement in those campaigns. And then playing into that as well, with all of the new channels that people have to put marketing through, there's an expected growth of 50% in digital ad spend by 2020. So more content needed than ever before, peer-to-peer recommendations happening at scale, user-generated content shown to be performing well in ad campaigns, and a huge amount of additional spend going into digital marketing that's going to need creative. So that's why liberating the creative voice is needed, and our way of doing that is through our marketplace for creators with influence. So it's influencer marketing, but it's focusing on the subset of creators, people that are part creatives. They are publishers, because as with influencers, they have an audience to share with. Really importantly as well, they're consumers, so they can share with their own audience. We're the only Instagram-approved partner in the world and the only Facebook-approved partner in the world for influencer marketing. To give you a quick run through the platform so you get a sense of it, a brand or agency goes on, creates a campaign, searches through the community that we've vetted. They can search by filters like geography, like interest group, age range, audience size, engagement, cost, and different content types. They can see more statistics on the individuals themselves, and then they invite them into a campaign, provide a brief of what they're asking for, what platforms do they want content for and shared on. Then through a messaging center, they're going to confirm collaborations with each individual, agree bespoke terms with each one if necessary. They're also then going to approve the draft work that the creators are going to produce, provide feedback, ask for changes. And then once it's published, there's a measurement piece there as well. So I thought now it would be best to show you an example of it in the real world. And so I'm going to take a campaign that we did for Dubai Tourism. Dubai Tourism had previously just worked with a handful of influencers at any one time and found it extremely labor-intensive to do. They gave us the challenge of trying to bring influencers together at one time from 21 different markets. So our first job was to scour the community and pull together a short list of individuals. You can see the types of people here. So they're from across 21 different markets. They're people with a strong background in travel. Also, they wanted to hit the family accounts, and so people that are followed because of what they get up to with their families. And what you see is all of them are very strong content creators, but that speak to their audience that's chosen to follow them to be inspired by what they get up to. And then here you can see, once we got them to Dubai, you've got examples here of the creative that they produced. And what's interesting is we actually then did a gallery in London. We took over a photography gallery and put up the work as works of art and just showed that what's traditionally thought in influencer content, perhaps as selfies and stuff like that, actually can be consistently very high quality creative that brands can use. And so we phrase this as meaningful, commissioned UGC. To give some sense of the stats on this Dubai campaign, so we pulled together for them 57 influencers from 21 different markets. We got them 15 blog posts done. They had 450, if I click it, it will, 450 Instagram posts done. They had 10 YouTube videos done, and they had hundreds of Snapchat posts done. All of this was then combined together. That audience reach of the 57 influencers combined was 127 million people. And the campaign generated 23 million engagements, likes or views or comments on the content. And then the real kicker for Dubai Tourism, where, as I said, they'd only worked with a handful at a time before, that entire group was pulled together and the entire campaign was executed in just 45 days. And then even better than that, they've got all this content that they now have the rights to. They had all this engagement. The whole campaign cost, Whalar fees, influencer fees, travel accommodation fees, worked out 5 cents per engagement. So it's an incredibly cost-effective, scalable campaign for them and a real solution to scale influencer marketing.
Thank you very much, Neil. Into the Dragon's Den.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi, Neil. Excellent name dropping at the beginning there. Well done.
Thank you very much. There is a story to Necker as well.
I'm sure there is. You can tell me later. Interesting that you're working with some big brands there. Mm-hmm. If it's so effective, why does a brand like the Priceline Group, and in particular Booking.com, still spend $4 billion a year on digital marketing, which is instantly measurable?
So for me, this actually plays into that. So if you go back to the stat from Salesforce about social campaigns, that can still be digital advertising. And the Salesforce campaign actually had additional studies. So digital ads that use some UGC could see up to a 5 times increase in click-through rates. And UGC used in the conversion funnel somewhere would increase conversion by 10%. So for me, this is a source of creative for the Priceline Group to make their digital advertising perhaps perform better at certain parts of the funnel. So it's not just the influencers sharing, it's actually the creative they produce helping be more relevant at different parts of the ad funnel.
Do you have a policy on transparency? So, I mean,
Yes.
we're talking about blog posts, right? Does it have to be marked as sponsored content?
Very much so. And look, our theory on that and our approach to it is that if it is a contextual and relevant collaboration, a suitable collaboration between an individual and a brand, then you can declare it very openly. And so we have a campaign being done soon with Apple Music. And the people are going to go, oh, I'm so excited to be doing a collaboration with Apple Music. We're pulling together a playlist that we think suitable for our travels or for our summer. So actually, when it's contextual and relevant, there seems to be no problem with declaring it as an ad. But yes, we make sure that's the policy.
You talked about Facebook and Instagram, which is obvious, but if we were talking in 18 months' time and there was a new social network that had just bubbled up from nowhere, how easy is it for you to lift and shift what you do to finding influencers in something that doesn't exist today?
So the first name we came up with for Whalar, which, by the way, has nothing to do with my surname at all. Actually, my co-founder is mortified when someone pointed out the connection between the two. We were going to call it Insta branding because our focus was on Instagram at first. We came up with Whalar because it's platform agnostic. It's actually announced yesterday in the press that we've become a Snapchat partner as well. In fact, Snapchat and RGA have made an investment into Whalar. We're able to move between any platforms. While Instagram was our starting point, we've had collaborations take place across them all. And so our focus is finding the creative people that are on the forefront of any of the platforms.
Okay.
So, I mean, the thing I worry about is, every hipster you meet in LA says that they're an influence marketer, right? And they've all got a pipeline to people who will do a bunch of stuff for money. And ultimately, authenticity is going to die, right? So isn't this about a 5-year run you've got before this just becomes kind of bullshit?
So my answer to that is yes and no. Yes to the industry in general of influencer marketing, and I agree with the ones that are just doing it to endorse a product, take money to their audience. The authenticity is going to run away, and actually also consumers are going to get fed up with it. Where we focus is actually on the creatives that are at the cutting edge of these channels, creating amazing content. Back to Kevin's point about the digital spend. If these people who are consumers of a brand are creating content that can make the ad units perform better, Sir John Hegarty would never have become our chairman if it was about influencer marketing. He loves it as a source of creativity for brands who are consumers, and that's all that we're about at Whalar.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well done. Thank you, Neil.